Hello and welcome everyone. We're so glad to have you join us virtually for this Ignite Ask the Expert session on fast-track development of production-ready ML models with Azure Machine Learning. I'm Dhaval Parker, and I'll be the moderator for this session. We have a dedicated area for you to ask questions, and we request you to take advantage of it and keep this session interactive. I'll be bringing up questions for the presenters to address. So without taking any more time, let me invite Vijay, Lou, and Anita. The floor is all yours. Vijay.
Yeah. Hello, everyone. I'm Vijay Kannan. I'm a program manager in Azure Machine Learning AI team. My focus area is primarily around data labeling in Azure ML.
Lou?
Yes. Hello, everyone. My name is Lu Zhang. I'm a program manager from Azure Machine Learning team, and my focus is on designer and pipelines. Very looking forward to the session today.
Great.
Hi,
and Anita.
everyone. I'm Anita. Thank you for joining us today. I'm a program manager on Azure Machine Learning as well, and I'm specifically focused on Automl. Looking forward to an exciting session.
Great. So let's not waste any more time. And I have a few questions for labeling already. So Vijay, what image scenarios does Mlss support today?
Sure. Yeah. So as far as data labeling, currently we support image classification, which covers both multi-class and multi-label. And also we support object detection, which is mainly drawing rectangular bounding boxes on the objects within the image. And coming back on image classification, as I mentioned, so it supports both multi-class and multi-label. The difference is primarily around if you look at given an image, you'll be able to assign only one label for an image that we call it multi-class. And given an image, if you are able to assign multiple tags to the same image, we call it as a multi-label. Across all these three scenarios, ML Assist is supported.
That's fantastic. A designer question for you, Lou. Will the Studio Classic get deprecated?
That's a good question. So Studio Classic is the standalone product, which we are not making any new investment right now. So if you want to really do like running your training job on GPU cluster, you want to leverage all the benefit from the Azure Machine Learning service, we highly recommend you to try out the Azure Machine Learning Designer, which is well integrated into the Azure Machine Learning service. And we will share more plan on the Studio Classic.
And a little bit of follow-up question on that. What differentiates the designer from the Studio Classic?
That's a good question as well. So for Azure Machine Learning Designer, you can get more powerful machine that which used to be a limit on the Studio Classic, and you can leverage all the benefit because the backend of the Azure Machine Learning Designer is using the machine learning pipelines. So you should be able to do all this orchestration and run on different machines, and also benefit from the dataset integration in Azure Machine Learning Service.
That sounds really powerful. An AutoML question next for Anita. When should I use AutoML UI versus the Python SDK, Anita?
Great, we hear this a lot. So AutoML is for anyone working with data. So if you are just starting to make your way in the ML journey and you like to create machine learning models with the click of a button, I recommend using the AutoML UI. Now, if you love working with code, then I guess you should go with the SDK. Remember, you could use both the UI and the SDK right from ml.azure.com from the UI or the notebooks.
Got it. Let's continue a little bit on AutoML. Is data privacy maintained when we use AutoML?
Yep, so definitely it is. So remember, we're not looking at your actual data, we're only looking at the metadata. So that means we're just looking at what type of features are being used and all. And remember, when you bring in your data, it's all going to happen within your workspace. So you have complete control into who can access this and all.
Got it. That sounds really good. A labeling question for Vijay. Do I need to have CPU or GPU for image labeling project types?
This is a very good question. So currently we support only GPU. We don't support CPU across even whether it's a image classification project or object detection project. It's mainly GPU compute based. And also, as you know, images consume GPU. So primarily we go with the GPU.
Makes total sense. Lou, what's new compared to the Studio Classic? I think we answered that a little bit, but Can the designer and let's say AutoML be used together?
It's a highly asked feature, but it's not there yet. I would say like if you want to prefer have the no code, low code approach to build a pipeline using the drag and drop UI, designer is your option because you can do data processing, you can train the model and deploy it from there. But AutoML, I will defer to Anita to answer the question.
Yeah, so as I mentioned earlier, whenever you want to build machine learning models with like preset algorithms and you don't want to tune your hyperparameters, choose your features, go ahead and use AutoML because this does all of that behind the scenes and it's intelligently testing the multiple models for you and returning the optimized ones.
Got it. And I think we answered the question. Greg had a question there, which said, is ML Design available for within Synapse? Lou, I think you mentioned not yet, but do you want to expand on that?
Yeah, it's not there yet, but we would be happy to follow up if you have any concrete scenarios and we can discuss more.
Got it. So Vijay, how do I enable ML assisted labeling on a data labeling project?
So there are a couple of options here. So one is around like while creating the project itself, there is a step within the project where you can go ahead and enable it. It's just a check mark, you can enable it. But as part of this, you also need to provide what is the compute you are going to choose, right? So you provide the compute. This is during the project creation phase. And there is also a way like after creating the project, you have the choice to go and enable it. You can toggle on or off on the Mlss during the project execution.
That's nice. Anita, does AutoML handle customizing the featurization step today?
Yeah, so let's just say you want to customize your featurization. We do have a couple options for you. So some things you could do is column purpose update. You could do transform parameter update, drop some columns, and also block some transformers. These are certain things that you could do right now. But again, that's just an optional step. You could always just use our auto settings for featurization, turn it off completely, or customize.
And how do I know what happened behind the scenes with AutoML?
Well, there's a couple things. So first of all, we're completely transparent. So you could use feature transparency feature to identify that. We also have explainability. So you would know which features played an important role in your predictions. So those are two options for you to explore what happened behind the scenes.
Got it. Nice. Lou, we have a designer question here which says, what's your plan to have more built-in modules?
That's a great question. Right now, you can use the execute Python and R to customize the script to bring in your own script into Designer. And we do have the plan that can allow you to share and reuse the code. Once you bring your customized code, you can build kind of the custom component that you can easily drag and drop for other team members to use. So it's on our roadmap and do expect some news later.
I see. Vijay, there's a question around human labeling. So is there a charge for using human labeling? And also, is there a charge for ML assist labeling? Like, are these two different or how does that work out?
Yeah, thanks for asking. I love this question. So as far as human labeling, there is no charge today. So it's completely free. As far as the ML assist part, as I mentioned earlier, you need to provide a GPU compute, right, while creating the project. So you will be charged for the compute being consumed.
I see. Makes sense. Just going here to see if there's any live questions. How about Anita, are there ever a scenario where AutoML doesn't suggest a voting or an ensemble algorithm?
Yeah, so as far as I know, it's always enabled. You do have the option to turn it off, but it's usually enabled.
And that's basically based on the data set, I believe.
Exactly.
Cool. Let's see. Lou, are there any limitations on using the designer? Like, is there any differences between using as an ML tool?
Yeah, designer, as you can see, the biggest benefit is you don't need to write the code. You simply drag and drop to build a pipeline. Regarding limitation, I would say like it's it's more around like, because it's the UI based approach. So if you prefer code first approach, that we will recommend you go to the notebook in the Azure Machine Learning Data Studio.
Got it.
Yeah.
Anita, another question for you here is, it's an anonymous question, but the customer has multiple ML scenarios and it's a little bit complex. A single machine learning model will not solve the scenario. So how do you suggest handling multiple models?
Great question. So again, not all machine learning scenarios are very simple, and there are scenarios, for example, like predicting orange juice sales. And recently what we have released is our many model solution accelerator, which allows you to group your models. For example, if it is orange juice sales, you could group it by store and brand, and basically allows you to build tens, hundreds, or even thousands of models in parallel. And we could definitely drop a link to the solution accelerator so that you can all access it.
Nice. Vijay, another question here for labeling is, how do I know that the ML assisted labeling is working as expected in my project? Like, what are the monitoring solutions around it? So for what's to see what's going on behind the scenes?
Yeah, there are a couple of spots you'll be able to see it. So generally, when labeling is concerned, first initially it is a human labeling, right? Then the Mlss process kicks in and start doing the automated pre-labeling, right? So as a labeler, during the labeling interface, you will start seeing on the top where it will start showing the Mlss process has kicked in. It is like it is at a clustering state or at a pre-labeling state. You will start noticing these notification during the labeling. That is on the labeling front. And also there is another way where, as a project manager or as a data scientist who logs into the project, there is a status dashboard where you will be see the current, whether the training run, the latest training runs, and also the featurization or inferencing, right? All those hyperlinks are out there. Even you can further click down those links, the training or the inferencing links, and navigate and really understand how the models are performing, what is the accuracy of predictions these models are providing. So you'll be able to, there are a couple of ways you can notice the Mlss process has kicked in.
Got it. And just a follow up to that, I'm not sure if you brushed through on this, but at what point can labelers see the clustered task or pre-labeled task?
That's another very good question. So it depends on a lot of parameters. For example, it based on the type of image being used, number of classes defined on the project, right? There are several parameters to it. So that's how the algo is defined. So generally, you would say at like a class of like 2 or 3 with 2 or 3 classes, you would start seeing the pre-labels around like 300 or 400 images when you are at that spot.
Nice. That's great to know. Lou, another designer question here. So can I bring my own script here?
Yes. Right now, you can use the execute Python and R module, which we have the documentation available. You can check from designer. And the plan is to make these scripts reusable and shareable. We are going to launch a new feature soon.
Very nice. So Anita, yeah, so I think we have that. So what is the general goal of Autoimmunity, Anita?
Well, our goal and mission is to democratize, accelerate, and scale AI. And what I mean by this is, let's just say you have a data science team with varying levels of experience. With AutoML, you're able to expedite the entire data science process. Now, that's what we mean by democratize. When we mean accelerate, we want to make sure we could improve the productivity of data scientists. And finally, for scale AI, we have heard customers, they want to build multiple models in parallel, and now they could do that in an automated way. So that's our current goal.
Nice. And what's on the roadmap?
The roadmap. So this question did come up earlier in our previous breakout session, and just to go over what I said there. So the first thing is many models, as I mentioned in the session. We recently released the public preview version of our solution accelerator. So if you're trying to build multiple models in parallel, go ahead and give that a try. On top of that, we're going to be building hierarchical time series, and along with that comes additional forecasting enhancements. And finally, one of my favorite features that is actually coming out soon is cogeneration. So let's just say you run an Autoimmunity experiment using the UI and you want to generate code out of it, you will now be able to do that with Cogen. So these are some of our exciting features that are currently on our roadmap.
That's really exciting. Lou, do you want to highlight any particular limitations that designer has today?
Limitation. I would say like Sharon will use the code, even though you can use the execute Python R, bring your own code, but it's still like limited interface and the packages you need to install on the flight. So our plan is to bring in this new custom component experience that you can you can define your own environment. You can predefine the interface with any input, any output, and any algorithm behind that. And that component can be made reusable and available in Designer so that you can easily drag and drop and you can make it as you are doing today in Designer.
Got it. I think we probably touched this a little bit in the previous question, but just want to call it out again. When do we actually use the designer, and when do you actually use just AutoML? And Lou and Ani, you can pick this together.
Yeah, so as I mentioned earlier, AutoML, when you know you want to quickly train a model, and you know you don't want to really choose your algorithm and stuff, you could go ahead, it'll do all that work for you in the background. And then I guess, Lou, you could go ahead and say when to use Designer.
Yeah, and a typical scenario we have observed from our customers are they tried AutoML and they let AutoML to pick the best algorithm, and then they want to have a more like a white box approach to build the machine learning pipeline. They want to do some data processing, and they also want to, based on the best algorithm, to fine tune the model. This is the time you can use Designer.
Nice. So Vijay, another question for labeling. Can I download that ML assisted model?
Yeah, I love this question. So yeah, definitely you have the option to download this model. So if you navigate into, in fact, we expose the pickle file. So if you go through the AutoML navigation mode, so you'll be able to find the pickle file and then you'll be able to download it.
That's awesome. That's great. Anita, we have another question here for AutoML. Is it possible to choose my algorithms for an AutoML experiment?
Well, yeah, you could definitely choose it. So what happened here is that Autoimmunity already has some classical algorithms, and you could definitely block some algorithms if you don't want to explore all of it, or else you could just let it run through all those algorithms. And we recently added Prophet, Arima, which are some additional algorithms that it would train for forecasting experiments. So definitely you could take a look at our documentation where you can see what kind of algorithms we currently support.
Very nice. So I have a question here from Gil. What is the advantage of running ML workloads using Azure ML versus open source techs like Kubernetes, like Openshift and Polyaxon? Either one of you three can help out here. I would say that it's definitely a managed approach, end to end, all the way from getting your data till delivering the models. Do you have any other thoughts around it?
Yeah, and we have the enterprise readiness feature for security, like for VNet, and we have launched the private link, and we also have these managed identities. So all these enterprise ready features would be benefits when you are using the Azure Machine Learning.
Yeah, and the best queues available, as well as the added security and your data integrity. Excellent.
Yep.
That's a great question. There is another question about, do you guys run product-to-product comparisons against AWS SageMaker and AutoML service? Anita, do you want to take that one?
So we do have, we do take a look at our performance and stuff. So we do know how our AutoML models are performing and all. We are aware of AWS SageMaker and their products as well. But again, the session is focused on more on AutoML, labeling, and Designer, and happy to answer questions more specific to these topics.
Good answer. Another question for labeling, Vijay. Do you support the use cases of labeling the time series, which around various signals? Does this come out of the box?
That's a great question. So not currently now. So currently our focus has been supporting the image vertical. So yeah, we are happy to hear around the requirements and needs of this scenario. So yeah, we can definitely look into it.
Thanks. Another anonymous question, I think Lou has commented on that, is can we create our data pipeline with CI/CD in Designer and also keep version control of our data pipelines?
Yes, of course. So you can build a pipeline in Designer, and you can have the option to publish the pipeline as the REST endpoint. So this REST endpoint is versioned, and you can easily integrate into your CI/CD pipeline.
Got it. Another labeling question here is how can we retrieve the label data? Which formats are supported?
Currently there are primarily two formats are supported, especially for image type. So currently we support COCO. You can export the data as a COCO, and also you'll be able to export the data as an Azure ML dataset. And if you are able to export an Azure ML dataset, you can use it across the rest of the pipeline. You can take the data and then push it into the AML Designer Studio, and then in training the models.
Got it. An Autoimmunity question here, which is also very important. In terms of AI reliability and AI fairness, what does Autoimmunity offer us for improved transparency?
So yeah, as I mentioned earlier, so AutoML does have an interoperability dashboard. So after training your model, for any of the models that were trained, you could go ahead and explain that model. And what you would see is this visualization of which features played an important role in the model training process. So definitely check out our docs, and I do see that one of our moderators have posted the doc link, so check it out for more details on how that works and how you can train your model and then explain your model. So that's the best way to go.
And a little bit of follow up on that, Anita. Do you know what the roadmap is for the interpretability and model fairness?
We do have item on our roadmap for interoperability, but we will be sharing that in a couple months.
Nice. We have an Onyx related question here. Can we enhance or enrich Onyx models brought from other platforms? I think that's more of an AutoML question, possibly.
So for Onyx related questions, definitely we could share a link to their docs on how you could use those models and enhance them. And we do have some sample notebooks that you could definitely check out on how to use Onyx with AutoML.
Okay. In general about Azure Machine Learning, where can I find more information about this?
So I'll take this question. So we have a couple items here. So definitely check out our docs, aka.ms/docs. So you can see this in our slideshow that is being presented right now. And the way to get started is go ahead and visit ml.azure.com, where you could definitely check out Designer, labeling, AutoML. Definitely quickly get started, see how to train a model and stuff like that. And additionally, final thing that you could check out is our notebook samples, which is in the GitHub repo. We have samples for all types of problems, let it be classification, regression, forecasting. You could learn how to tune hyperparameters. So all our Azure Machine Learning sample notebooks you could find right in the GitHub repo.
That's awesome. It's very easy to get started. Vijay, Lou, Anita, again, do you want to share some upcoming exciting features or roadmap that our customers should be looking forward to?
Yeah, I will take the question first. So as I mentioned in the session, so the two biggest upcoming features are like you can bring in your own code as the customized component for share and reuse and for reproducibility. And we also allow a better collaboration between these low code, no code data scientists and these code first professional data scientists, because with the new features, you should be able to easily export what you have built in the UI to a notebook, so that the professional data scientists can continue working on the fine tuning and to better integrate with their like ML ops process.
And as I mentioned earlier, the two things that I would be looking out for is one is hierarchy time series, which is going to be building on top of our many model solution accelerator. So definitely check out our many model solution accelerator if you're trying to build multiple models. And the other one is Cogen, where you would be able to generate a notebook out of your AutoML UI run.
Yeah. And on labeling, And on labeling, primarily, we'll be focusing more around even adding additional capabilities focused around image vertical. Now we are supporting rectangular bounding boxes, so we are planning to expand into even further drawing different shape objects.
All of that sounds really exciting. And I think there's a question around, do you have any samples for us to get started today? Our moderators have pointed out data labeling, designer, and AutoML links for our customers to get started immediately, which is should be really easy to get started with all the samples that you have pointed out. I think that's all the questions that we have today. Are there any final points that you would like to mention, Lou, Vijay, Anita?
Yeah, so definitely go ahead and check out our docs, our sample notebooks, and get started today. You could go ahead and visit ml.azure.com. And if you do have any questions, let it be about labeling, designer, or automated ML, go ahead and contact us at these emails provided, and we will be happy to help you get started. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Great. Thank you so much for everybody for joining us today. And we look forward to having you using all of our fantastic products, making your ML journey so much easier. Thank you.
Thank you.